Hello, we're here to talk about architecture today. That's architecture as in arch, that's the first four letters. That's because the Romans always built arches. The Romans built arches, the Greeks built columns and beams. They'd put columns, a column here, or a post, whatever you want to call it, and the beam across the top. So they had all flat roofs. The Romans came around back in 300 BC, and they said, no, we want to build arches. So they built arches. Today we build all kinds of things. We build arches, we build flat roofs, we build steep roofs, we build turrets and castles, and we build all kinds of things today. And John Allen is here, who has done some really good ones incorporating all of those features, flat roofs, arched roofs, into his designs. He's made quite a portfolio of his work. I think you'd enjoy looking at it. It's a nice little booklet. To become an architect, you have to go to college for 5 years. Well, it's 4 years now. 4 years, and you can get your degree as a Bachelor of Architecture. But then you got to go back for 2 more years to get your master's. Most of the architects today have their master's degrees, so it's important to get a master's degree. Ohio State University is a great college for architecture, and that's where John Allen Brewer here is planning on going, to the School of Architecture. And he'll be there. He'll be graduating in the class of, this is the class of 23, so in the 8th grade would be the class of 2024, the 9th grade 25, the 10th grade 26, the 11th grade 27, and the 12th grade 28. He'd be in the class of 2028. Then he would go to OSU and be in the class of 4 more years, which 28 plus 4 is 32. He'd be graduating the class of 2032. And while he was going to OSU, he would be living with us here to save money on rent and food and all that kind of stuff, because it costs a lot to go to architecture school. You got to be able to buy pencils and pens and crayons and Prismacolors and magic markers and all kinds of yellow tracing paper and white tracing paper, and it goes on and on. Paint, and there's a lot of stuff to buy. So I think by him living here, it would save a heck of a lot of his money on rent.
What you want to tell him?
I'm going to have John Allen talk a little bit. Go ahead. Get your face in there.
Yes, architecture is very serious. No jokes, right, Larry?
No jokes.
Yep. What kind of buildings? Tell him what kind of buildings you made.
Well, I made prisons, and I made hospitals and nursing homes, and I made restaurants, and I made churches, and I made houses. I made some houses, real expensive houses that were up on the river where the rich people live.
How much? How much?
$450,000 back 30 years ago. Today it'd be worth about $2 million to build a house like that. So that's a few of the types of houses I've designed. I did a lot of roofs, we did a car dealership, Bill Swad car dealership. I did some designs for Bobby Lehman. And I did quite a bit. We're only a 2-man office. It was just Sam Ingwerson and me, so we couldn't get the big tall buildings, the skyscrapers, because they went to the big firms, the ones that had 100 architects or more, 200 architects. People went to them for some reason. They could have gone to us. We could have done it.
Probably cheaper.
Cheaper too, and it'd probably take a little bit longer because there's only 2 of us getting the plans out. But yeah, we never got any anyway. No skyscrapers. I worked on some skyscrapers when I worked at other firms. I not only worked at Sam Ingwerson Architects for 25 and a half years. I worked at Kellerman Foley, Wandel and Schnell, Feinknoff and Feinknoff Design Group. All kind of. Prindle and Patrick, all kind of funny names. And some of them I worked on high-rise buildings. But I would just have a little part of it, like designing the bathrooms or something. I didn't have the whole building because there's a bunch of architects working on the building. I really enjoyed being an architect. I still am one, but I have to call myself an architect emeritus now because I did not get my license this year. It was the first year that I didn't get my architectural license. I didn't get it because I have macular degeneration and I don't see very well. So my plans would look pretty funny probably. Because I can't see that well. I probably designed my buildings upside down or something. I don't know. And people would probably fall down the steps all the time. I enjoyed it though so much when I was one, when I quit working for Sam Ingerson Architects after 25 and a half years. I worked for the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for the state of Ohio as an architect, and I was paid $37 an hour there, so I doubled my pay,
and you were self-employed once.
And I was self-employed between Sam Ingerson and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. I worked out of my house. I designed a house for Eli Washington. I designed an office building for, I forget his name. I designed several smaller buildings, but people didn't want to pay me or pay me on time, and I had to pay my bills, so I had to quit. And thank God the lady next to us, Jeannie, actually told me about an job application for an architect at the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. I might as well apply. I didn't think I'd get it, but I did. I applied, and thank God I got it. I worked there 10 and a half years until I was 68, and that's when I decided I wanted to retire. Today, it's fun sketching around little buildings like I did with John here, and he did some wonderful building designs for his portfolio, which I think he should save and show that to his teachers, and show that when he goes to college and when he wants to try to get in the School of Architecture, you have to apply and show him some stuff you've done. So he'll have plenty of work to show them that he's done when he goes there. A lot of the kids that apply for architecture haven't done anything because they just decided they wanted to be an architect, but they didn't do any projects or any designs. So they have a hard time getting in into the school. Well, I fell down. A little bit about the history I gave, a little bit about current times. I'd like for John to say a few things about architecture, if he likes it, and all kinds of stuff like that. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, architecture
Get over there a little further.
Yeah, architecture is something you need to be serious about. If you're making a building, you don't want a stair, something that would be off or something like that. You have to be very concentrated.
Safety is important.
Yes. And if you're jiggling around, thinking things, trying to get it correct, you're not going to go nowhere. You have to take time. Right, Larry?
You have to take time, and you have to get a stamp to put on there. Because that means you've been through school, you've been through your state board exams, you're an architect, you're a registered architect, and you can design buildings that are safe. They won't fall down, they won't catch on fire, bad things won't happen to kill people, because it is serious, as John said.
Would you like to show them your stamp?
Yeah, here's my stamp. I don't know if you can see it, but all you do is put your paper in here and then squeeze down on it, and then you get a stamp in here, which I doubt if you can see, but there it is. And that allows you to take it to the building department, and they will inspect your plans, examine your plans, and if they pass, they'll put their stamps on them. And I was always so happy to take my plans in and get them to stamp and go out of the door with an approved set of plans. It made me feel like it was all worth the work. It wasn't work. Architecture is not work. They say that you'll You'll never work a day of your life if you enjoy what you're doing, and that's architecture. You never feel like you've had to work during your life, because it's like play. It's like playing and getting paid for it. It's not like other jobs, believe me, because I've had other jobs, and it's much more fun.
If you can see that, it's a little stamp. You probably can't though. Barely. Yeah, no, probably not. But what do you have to do to get the stamp?
To get your stamp, you have to go through 6 years of schooling, and then college, like a high state university. Then you have to get out and work for an architect for 3 years in a firm without being an architect, just being a graduate architect. And then you have to take the state board exams, which is a 3-day test that they hold. And if you pass that, you have 2 days. You have multiple choice questions about structure, about mechanical systems, about design, about safety, different things. You have multiple choice. Two days of questions, and then you have 1 day where you just get your paper and start designing whatever they tell you to design. In my case, I had to design a nursing home, and I passed my 3-day state board exams. And so when you pass your state board exams, you get a stamp, and that allows you to stamp plans and get them approved by the building department.
Well, this is the end of the video.
It's been entertaining. It's been educational.
Hopefully you guys liked it. We usually do movies, but this is the end of the video. I'll see you.